Hello, everybody. Thank you very much to be with us for this midterm information meeting between two general assemblies. And I thank all the participants and the Secretariat organizing this meeting of information. Is very useful to have a point of all the actions and also the structuration of the Secretariat and the new governance of PREZODE. And as you know, PREZODE, I recall you the PREZODE ambition. You had the video, but I remember you that PREZODE is a common framework to foster collaboration and impact. Next slide, please. Yes, I recall you that this meeting is recorded. It's the second meeting because we organized two meetings in the morning in Paris and afternoon because of the jet lag. And you remember the meeting?
You're muted, Jean-Luc.
It's okay? Okay. Supported by European Commission and the four international organizations involved. And the overall ambition is in line with the DDG. As next slide, please. And also next slide. And the present aims a common framework to implement and coordinate the research projects, surveillance system, operational projects to maximize their impact. Aims also a platform for data sharing and also a resource center for decision making to support evidence-based choices and policies and to implement to reduce the risk of emerging zoonosis. As you know, we have now 22 countries, and we have also 200 research organization, member of PREZODE. The 22 countries, we welcome Burkina, and we thank Belgium, Bolivia, Burkina Faso, Cambodia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Democratic Republic of Congo, Dominica, Gabon, France, Guinea-Conakry, Congo, Haïti, Laos, Madagascar, Mexico, Morocco, Senegal, Thailand, Vietnam, United Kingdom, Uruguay, and Zimbabwe. And we have also two regional territories, Anguilla from United Kingdom and Saint Eustatius, the Netherlands, joined the initiative in 2022. I recap the milestones since the last General Assembly. The governance terms of reference were adopted and implementation is moving on. We approve also the strategic agenda that provides the present framework for the 10 years to come and the election of the steering committee. But we will speak about that later. I remember you that during the G7, Nagasaki Health Minister mentioned PREZODE in the declaration. I read the declaration. We also welcome complementary and relevant international initiatives which aim at preventing the emergence of zoonotic diseases, such as PREZODE, preventing zoonotic disease emergence, and Zodiac, the zoonotic disease integrated action. I will call you that we have an agreement between PREZODE and Zodiac, as well as the One Health high-level expert panel, OLEP, its work and its definition of the One Health approach. And also, you know that there is also a One Health roadmap adopted by the quadripartite. We have also presidency of PREZODE during the World Health Summit, and also during this week at the general session of the World Organization for Animal Health in Paris. And I recall you also the last One Forest Summit in Gabon. The agenda of the meeting is organized with, at the beginning, the current status of the PREZODE initiative, some testimonies of country members or soon to be, like Thailand, Gabon, United Kingdom, Philippines, and Costa Rica. We will also discuss about the actions, the projects, and the synergies member, or soon with highlights on projects in France, Mexico, and Mozambique. And also, we will have a point about the pandemic fund with World Bank. And also, we will speak about, you know, that we have an agreement with the WHO for the indicators, and we will have a point about WHO PREZODE joint working group. And we want also to discuss during this meeting, donc don't hesitate to have questions, and we will have some stages of questions and answers. And we will speak also about the mobilization and the secretariat moving forward, the working groups launch or in the course of being launched shortly, the labeling process, data working group, communication, impact working group, and also a session of questions and answers. But before beginning this meeting, I am pleased to introduce our new General Secretary, Dr. Zif Noga, and I will give the floor to Zif. I welcome him, and I wish good luck in the new position.
So thank you very much, Jean-Luc. Can you hear me well, everyone?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah. Great. So it's really, so first of all, dear PREZODE members, it's really an honor and pleasure for me to join this initiative and to be part of a global One Health effort and working together with all of you to advance research, advocacy, international collaboration in order to prevent, reduce, and tackle emergent zoonotic diseases. My name is Ziv Noga. I'm a veterinarian. I work in the field of veterinary policies for more than 15 years on both European and global levels. My main focus was on animal health, animal welfare, public health, and international collaboration under the One Health concept and approach. I started 3 weeks ago this position, and I'm really looking forward to lead the PREZODE Secretariat and work with all members and partners to deliver the PREZODE mission and also the PREZODE vision to improve prevention, early detection, resilience, rapid response to emerging infectious disease of animal origins. Myself and the Secretariat remain at your disposal for any assistance and information you may require, and we will work to ensure efficient administration, coordination, and collaboration between all the different parts of this huge global initiative. And I'm really looking forward to work with each one of you, and please contact me and keep in touch. I give the floor back to you, Jean-Luc.
Thank you very much, Zif, and welcome again. Now we can begin with testimonies. Testimonies of new countries, members, but also we will share the experiences of organisms, members of PREZODE, having incentivized their country for signing. And we will begin with Thailand with a video Dr. Swanpak Enjoy, who is director of the Office of International Cooperation of the Department of Disease Control, Ministry of Public Health.
The Secretary General of Preventing Zoonotic Disease Emergent, or PREZODE, and honor the PREZODE community, which is growing stronger. Events that demonstrate Thailand is a member of the PREZODE community, begin within the high-level France-Thailand One Health meeting that held on November 17, 2021. The important events of September 2022, which were the cabinet of the Royal Thai government approved and set the stage for collaboration under the PREZODE project. Another memorable event was the visit of the President of France to Thailand on 17 November 2022 and the collaboration with the Prime Minister of Thailand on PREZODE. PREZODE aims to strengthen global collaboration on the prevention of zoonotic disease between the countries. After the approval to join PREZODE, Thailand agrees to work with the ASAMCO, or we call ASAMCO, as a regional approach with Laos for the next few years. Activity between Laos and Thailand within the relevant stakeholders in the framework of ASAMCO, containing 3 thematic sections, including the first one, assessment of the list of emerging of the zoonotic disease. Second one, reduction of the list of the zoonotic emergence. And the last one, implementation of surveillance strategy and early detections. To the One Health ASEAN initiative to prevent emerging zoonotic disease in this region. We are confident that the fruitful collaboration through this project will play an essential part in the One Health approach for handling public health situations at present and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we will have an intervention of Gabon. Gabon signs a declaration of intent during the One Forest Summit. And I give the floor to Professor Jean-Bernard Lekana-Douki, Director General of the Interdisciplinary Center for Medical Research in Franceville.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, on vous entend bien.
Je ne sais pas si je parle en français ou en anglais. Est-ce qu'il y a une traduction?
Non, il n'y a pas de traduction. Donc, si vous pouvez le faire en anglais.
Okay, I will try to speak in English. But first, I say that my English is not very, very well, so you will excuse me. For Gabon, PREZODE is very important because Gabon is located in the Central Africa. Central Africa with Amazonia are the main the main situation, the main areas of biodiversity. Gabon is in the Congo basin, and this situation gives the possibility for the emergency, the high level of pathogen emergency. That's why Gabon is so happy to join PREZODE. PREZODE, which does excellent initiative for the surveillance and the control of infectious disease, zoonotic infectious disease. We say that Gabon is so happy. Gabon is, yes, so happy to join PREZODE, and we hope that we will achieve all objectives, all aims of this high initiative. And that is all. The Gabonese government has signed the MOU to join PREZODE. That means Gabon is very, very happy to join this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining PREZODE, and welcome to Gabon. Merci beaucoup, Professeur Jean-Bernard Lekana-Douki. I will now give the floor to United Kingdom, Helen Roberts, Exotic Disease Control Team Non-Livestock Disease Policy Risk and Science Advisor from DEFRA, Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs.
Thank you very much, Jean-Luc, and good afternoon, good morning to the PREZODE family. I'm very pleased to be here today to give the statement for the United Kingdom for joining PREZODE. And I wanted to show you a few slides to explain the work that we do in One Health, and hopefully that we'll be able to share this further in our future collaborations together. First of all, I wanted to explain that we do a lot of work in the One Health area, but domestically, and we really want to work more internationally in the future. We do work together very closely between the Public Health Agency and the Animal Health Agency on horizon scanning. Next slide, please. But we've had a journey into One Health in the past few years with the start of COVID and the UK presidency of the G7. And some of these actions have been about supporting the quadripartite partners, supporting OLEP, also looking at the pandemic instrument and funding the One Health intelligence scoping study. We are currently the UK co-chairing the zoonotic disease action package of the Global Health Security Agenda. And we've had some amazing discussions through that system with many other countries, seeing how many other people are working so successfully in the One Health area. And now, unusually, we've got funding in the animal health area from our developing official development assistance funding, or ODA, to do some strengthening animal health systems in countries in West Africa, which is the first time we've had this strong international focus. And we still know that AMR and climate change are the big challenges. Next slide, please. I'll just very quickly go through these just to show that one of the ways that it works with One Health is if you have similar systems and similar ways of working. So for example, this is how the UK Health Security Agency will be monitoring diseases. Next slide, please. And this is the exact same approach that the Animal and Plant Health Agency take in the International Disease Monitoring Team. So we're just working in the same way, slightly different sources of evidence, but bringing it all together. Next slide, please. So taking all that evidence, building the risk assessment process, and joining up through two particular areas: our international natural hazard forward look, which is part of our disaster risk reduction system, and the HARES group, which we have probably mentioned in previous experiences with people. Next slide, please. And then this is what we do from the animal health side, and again, joining up through those two products, the INHFL and the HARES group. And that's how we get One Health to work in this area, is by having similar systems and joining it up together. Next slide, please. This is what we mean by the International Natural Hazards Forward Look, is a mechanism for showing where different events are happening around the world and risk assessing them, then providing that information to the rest of our own government departments. Last slide, please. And finally, we also have a piece of work through our Department for International Trade, which is called the UK Global Innovations Adopting a One Health Approach to Promote Future Sustainability. And these are all ways that we're reaching out to the international community. So I'm so pleased that we are finally able to join PREZODE with the support of our ministers across the Department of Health, the Foreign Office, Development Office, and DEFRA as well. And any questions, please do contact me at DEFRA. I'll be the focal point for the government on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hélène, and welcome to United Kingdom. Thank you for your testimony and your support. And now we will have a share of experiences of organisms, members of PREZODE, having incentivized their country for signing. And we will begin with the Philippines. And we have the Professor Angko, Dean of the School of Environmental Science and Management of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. And I think that Professor Angko has some slides.
A very pleasant day to each and every one of you. This is going to be very short, but we wanted to really highlight why it matters for us to then align with the work of PREZODE, particularly some of the imperatives why disease prevention really matters for the Philippines. At the very least, we really see the importance of the livestock and the poultry, the dairy sector in our national economy. But we've also noted that for the past months, there was really these concerns, particularly related to ASF, affecting the production and then the supply of the livestock. And this one is really a big issue, a national issue up to the very present. So very quickly, I'd like to emphasize 2 points why the work of PREZODE, particularly disease prevention, really matters for us. First and foremost, there is still this high price of livestock and poultry, resulting to high rates of malnutrition in the Philippines. Currently, we're experiencing inflation, which was driven by food, which is driven particularly by high meat inflation, that in turn could have resulted to protein deficiency. This is a major area of concern for us, and hopefully this one can then be solved by a number of actions related to the causes of this problem. So far in the country, we're experiencing high cost of production for livestock and poultry. This is also related to unorganized and backward small-scale operations and fragmented government support structure. But most importantly, something that PREZODE can really help is the animal diseases. At current rate, there has been a number of projects already looking into the applications of One Health in relation to agriculture and other areas of concerns. But not just really in agriculture per se, but we're trying to relate that with human aspects and also with the economic and environmental aspects. But most importantly, we are now emphasizing disease prevention as an important pillar for the work on competitiveness for the agricultural sector, particularly for animal. So essentially, that is our very incentive as to why we're very serious about the work in supporting the work of PREZODE. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Hancock. Thank you to Philippines for your support. And now we will go to Vietnam, and we have Mrs. Phuong Vuti from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development of Vietnam.
No, I don't think she's connected. She was there this morning, but
well, you have a video.
Sorry.
We have a video.
The National Coordinator for One Health Partnership of Vietnam. It is my very great honor to be here to make some words on the One Health Partnership of Vietnam, and also the membership of the PREZODE initiative. As you know that Vietnam is it is one of the earliest member of the PREZODE initiative. We find that it is very in line with the National Master Plan for One Health Partnership, and also we have the same objectives to prevent the pandemics and also the zoonotic disease. In the PREZODE initiative, you also call for the multi-sectoral cooperation, and many countries and organizations in the world to shake hand and co-hand in the zoonotic disease and the pandemic prevention. That is the reason why when we reported to the Prime Minister of Vietnam and also report to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice, we are strongly approved to be the member of the PREZODE initiatives. It is the first thing, and thank you for the France who invited us to be the membership of this initiatives. The second thing is that for the One Health Partnership, we also we have the same similar steering committee. Here we have the steering committee, including the three vice minister, the Minister of Ministry of Agriculture, and the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Environment, and the Vice Ministry of Health, who are in the steering committee. And under the steering committee, we have the multi-sectoral coordination unit, including the technical department under 3 line ministries. And then we have the One Health Partnership Secretariat, including the one director and 3 national coordinator from 3 ministries. And similarly, we have some working technical working group like the food safety working group, the AMR working group, the research and policy working group, and then the pandemic working group. We have the annual meeting for this working group to discuss on the priorities and the recommendation for the technical and also the policy recommendation to the steering committee, and then the steering committee will report to the Prime Minister of Vietnam to make something change like the law and the policy approval. And here I would like to invite all of you who are attending this meeting to be engaged in our activity, especially contribution to the national master plan of the One Health Partnership in Vietnam. And currently, the French, including Serat, ERD, Hillary, who are co-implementing with us to call for the World Bank Pandemic Fund, that our national country package, including the some international development partner, including the FAO, who French, like Sarat and Hillary here, Mr. Hùng, who I can see you now, who are co and join hand with us to apply for the country package. And once again, I would like to thank for the French and also the PREZODE initiative. We also including you as the same membership and also the same initiative with the One Health Partnership and of the Vietnam. Thank you.
Thanks a lot to Vietnam. And now we will go to Central America with the Costa Rica, and we have a video from Dr. Chavez, Ecology of Disease and One Health Conservation Genetics Lab, School of Biology, Costa Rica University.
Hello, my name is Andrea Chavez. I am the Costa Rican and a researcher at the University of Costa Rica. I work in disease ecology and One Health. I'm going to do a presentation now about PREZODE in Costa Rica. Costa Rica's participation in PREZODE has been quite organic. This is because the country has historically promoted the conservation of natural resources and harmony with nature. And this has made it easier to establish a positive relationship between conservation and health. In Costa Rica, we are taking the first steps with PREZODE, consolidating the approach of working with government agencies and related organizations that have benefited from working one-on-one with key stakeholders through meetings where we listen and take into account the capacities, priorities, and needs expressed by the various partner institutions. This ensures that the needs and strengths of the country, as well as the social and cultural reality of Costa Rica, are taken into account. Through our research, we have been able to identify possible environmental, ecological, and anthropogenic variables that may influence the potential risk of transmission of zoonotic agents between wild animals, in particular monkeys, and humans. We have found that national parks with high tourist visitation and border zones of regions with high rainfall favor the risk of transmission between wild and urban cycles of emerging and reemerging diseases, such as flavivirus, parvovirus, malaria, among others. In addition, local and regional public and animal health surveillance and early warning systems, as well as a stable system of protected areas, are, in my view, the key aspects that will allow us to work hand in hand with the ministries of health, environment, agriculture, and other important partners. Joint monitoring will lead to developing an early warning system that considers biodiversity loss and the presence of zoonotic diseases. In a win-win strategy, monitoring both health and biodiversity simultaneously manage the risk of pandemics and include health in the narrative promotes and reinforces change that favor biodiversity preservation. These include classifying regions and human practice from lower to higher risk to justify restoration programs, buffering, and conservation. In contrast to studies that examine the value of preserving and restoring fragmented habitats from an ecological perspective, we promote the integration of landscape-level ecological factors with human behavioral factors and weigh risk to human health, connecting conservation practices to public health. To date, there is no governmental One Health program in Costa Rica. According to my meetings with government partners, we have only recently begun to hear about One Health in government circles, which together with the lack of financial resources and the need to meet other needs in the country has made it almost impossible to establish a One Health program or committed at government level. Therefore, there is a great enthusiasm and recognition for the PREZODE initiative to build local capacity and provide tools according to the needs of Costa Rica, creating a hopeful environment that through this effort we will take the first steps to connect conservation with public health and animal health for a national One Health program. Muchas gracias.
Thanks to Andrea Chavez. And now we close this part of testimonies. It was very important to have these concrete testimonies from countries and organisms. And now I will give the floor to Heng Nguyen, co-director of the Animal and Human Health Program of ILRI. Heng, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jean-Luc Angot. It was very nice to see all this statement and some description of activities in the country members. So now let's move to the next session where we will learn a little bit more about what is really happening on the ground linked to PREZODE. Because we talked a lot about PREZODE launch in 2021, but afterwards we also develop programs and activities with the member country. So here we will have 3 slots of presentation, and first will be some activities presented by our colleague from France, I think, for PRIAC, and with that I would like to invite as a duo Marisa and Benjamin. I don't know who will start first. Over to you, Marisa and Benjamin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's a real pleasure to be here with you all today. And I will just briefly talk you through the first PREZODE in action in the Global South program. Next slide, please. So this is the first operational project to be funded directly through and for PREZODE from the French Development Agency. So currently there is already two phases of the program that has started and are about to start for 20 million, and the next one will come in 2024 for another 10 million, so it will be 30 million in total. The implementing entities are CIRAD and IRD, which will transfer the fund and to the national partners who are implementing the work in the countries. So the objective is really to deploy the strategic agenda of PREZODE through its pillar and its scientific activity and operational activity, but also to support the country that has joined PREZODE to be able to start deploying the activity, as we've heard from Costa Rica a minute ago. and also to be able to support this public policy through the science society policy dialogue, and consider gender and climate dimension strongly in this project as well. Next slide, please. So the main intervention are very similar to PREZODE pillar. The first one is about zoonotic disease emergence and risk assessment. The second one is about reduction of the risk, looking at prevention strategy and practices. The third one is about the secondary prevention, looking at early detection of the signs of spillover and community-based surveillance. And the fourth component, which is transversal, will really promote this science society policy dialogue and the gender equity and climate consideration through an international and inter-country collaboration. Next slide, please. So again, the specific objective are really to strengthen the knowledge on the emergence of zoonotic risk, to identify and monitor those risks, to understand better gender inequality linked to the risk of zoonotic diseases, to strengthen the capacities in terms of risk management at the territorial level. That means that building on local initiative that is already existing in the field and in the countries, and doing that by also strengthening the capacity and the inclusion of local organization, and in a co-design participatory approach to be able to really set up this dialogue between science, society, and politics. And last but not least, it's all about strengthening the partnership and promote the collaboration between the different initiatives and sectors from the local to the global based on what is already happening in the countries. Next slide, please. So just to give you a bit of an overview of how PREZODE works. So PREZODE is an umbrella that will scientific framework that will support different programs. One program is PREACT. Another program that Benjamin is going to describe in a minute is the French PEPR program. And under those programs, there would be different projects, and this is what we've just described. So PREACT has 3 projects. The first one, AFRICAM, which has already started. The second phase it's about to start was mentioned by Costa Rica as AMCO, and the third one, which will be co-designed soon, and that will hopefully start in 2024. That has no name yet, but will be named one day. Next slide, please. And just I will show you the geographic coverage of those 2 first projects. AFRICAM is implemented in 4 countries in Africa, and 1 country in Southeast Asia, so Senegal, Guinea, Madagascar, Cameroon, and Cambodia. And as AMCO is covering the 3 regions, Latin America with Mexico, Costa Rica, and Haiti, Central Africa with the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Southeast Asia with Laos and Thailand. And I will leave the floor to Benjamin. Thank you.
Thanks, Marisa. So I will describe quickly. So the second program called PEPR, which is a program for equipment and academic research. So the idea of this program, PEPR, which is also about 30 million euros, is really so to develop academic research on the emergence of zoonotic disease. So I'm sorry, these slides only exist in French, but I will describe them quickly. So the idea is still relying on the PREZODE philosophy, meaning that we are really trying to tackle so the primary factors of zoonotic disease emergence, meaning that we try to understand through this program the transmission patterns, transmission networks between all the different animal species with the environment and with the human population. And so when you start to propagate inside human population, so it's not the scope of PREZODE anymore. So the idea of this program through different call for proposals is really to better understand so how this the process behind this zoonotic disease emergence, and also how we can better monitor them and how we can reduce the risk of this zoonotic disease emergence. Next slide, please. So this program is structured through 5 different work packages. So we have 4 work packages for which are actually call for proposal for academic research projects. So the first one has been released a couple of months ago, and it's really to try to understand better so these processes behind zoonotic disease emergence. A second call for proposal will be released hopefully beginning of the fall, which will be to make stronger existing platforms for the detection and study of zoonotic pathogens. So it's going to be about 3 million euros. And another call for proposal will be released at the end of the year to develop better surveillance system, of course, adopting a One Health approach, and will be about 8 million euros. And finally, so the last call for proposal will be next year, and with also 8 million euros, and will be to develop this prevention strategy, primary prevention strategies, to try to reduce the risk of spillover to human populations. And of course, we have a transversal work package for the governance of this program, but also for national and international animation. So the goal is really to have bridges between operational activities and academic research we are developing, with the goal of envisioning new prevention strategies, really relying on the scientific approach, and to try to co-design their implementation with all the local actors in the South. Thank you. I think I'm done. Go back to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Marisa. I now want to give the floor to Gerardo Suzan, who's not with us, but who nicely created a video to share with us his expertise and experience in the field.
Hello, my name is Gerardo Suzan. I'm a full-time professor at the National University of Mexico. I'm working at the Veterinary Medicine School and developing a project of One Health in the Peninsula Yucatan in Mexico. So I'm going to talk about what we have done in this area. So as we know, we are in a global crisis, changing completely whole ecosystems worldwide through the deforestation, biodiversity loss, and pollution and others that we know. And recently, we know that habitat loss and deforestation and the loss of biodiversity is related with infectious diseases and is recognized as an important driver for infectious diseases. So Mexico, we have the problem the same. We have deforestation, pollution, and different land use changes that are changing completely the whole ecosystems, especially in the south of Mexico. Here in the red part, you see the Peninsula Yucatan, which is one of the areas that has most of the problems here. And simultaneously, several emerging and emerging infectious diseases are occurring. So this is why this is a hotspot. So the Mexican government developed a priority projects in Mexico to understand disease ecology, to understand emerging infectious diseases and the risk for humans. So we developed a project here in the area in Peninsula Yucatan to understand on a multi-vector, multi-host and multi-pathogen approach to understand how these changes in habitat loss and biodiversity loss relates with risk for human infectious diseases. So we are developing an interested net of connections to understand how these infectious diseases keeps and maintaining time and space. So simultaneously, we have worked together with the government of France, with the IRD and the National University of Mexico, developing an international laboratory. This project, called Ecosystem Biological Diversity, Habitat Modification, Risk of Emerging Pathogens and Disease in Mexico, has allowed us to collaborate in multiple projects here in the area. So we have impact nationally and regionally. This project, the El Dorado, has allowed us to collaborate with different countries, including Cuba, Germany, USA, France, Guatemala, India, Tanzania. So we are working on different projects, on different approaches, so developing an important node of One Health and collaboration on disease ecology. Simultaneously, we have working on intersectorial collaborations locally and regionally to work and work on public policies to change and work, focus on reducing risk factors and working on sustainability and with sociological and anthropological approaches and evolutionary and ecological approaches of infectious diseases. So we are working together in public policies, and this collaboration and this work has been done with the help of multiple professionists, researchers from different disciplines working on different topics in order to work together on a One Health approach, on a transdisciplinary approach. So in general, these projects that we have done and developed in Mexico has allowed us to be part of and participate in the PREZODE initiative. So we are very happy to participate in this, working on these surveillance systems to identify and work on early detection systems for zoonosis, emergence. So we are working together in different ways, including capacity building, developing programs of One Health sustainability for graduate programs and different courses on that. So we are working together with the help of different institutions, with the help from different countries to recognize and to work in this part of the region of the world in Yucatan to work in these One Health approaches. And PREZODE is one of the most important initiatives that we are very happy to participate on this. Thank you very much. And if you want to contact me, I'm very happy to answer whatever the doubts you have. Thank you, and nice to talk to you all.
Thank you very much, Gerardo. And so I want now to introduce to you the work going on between PREZODE and the WHO. And Maria Fenkekov, who was here this morning but had a not so good connection, is going to introduce, thanks to the recording we had done this morning, what it is about this working group, and I let her the floor. Give her the floor.
Yes, thanks so much, Benjamin. So I'm just outside the main hall in the assembly, so it's a little bit loud. So just give me a thumb, you can hear me okay. All right, so I'll go very quickly. And as Benjamin mentioned, I have the privilege to co-chair a working group with him. It's a WHO PREZODE initiative where we formed a working group to quantify indicators for risk of zoonotic disease emergence. And we work with a large number of people across the groups that we're very happy to do so. Just want to set the context. So this is a map, it's a draft map that is looking at the spillover risk of a number of different pathogens across the world, looking at the aggregate risk of pathogens, their intermediate hosts, the reservoirs, but also looking at climatic factors, looking at the changes because of climate change, which is changing the opportunities for these viruses to spill over from animals, but also changes the range of vectors. For example, if we think of Aedes. And so this mapping exercise is to support countries in being better prepared for this spillover events, but also should these spillover events become outbreaks, epidemics, and pandemics. Next slide, please. So we have identified a need to quantify this risk of emergence in a multi-dimensional context, because it is a multi-dimensional and multifactorial nature. And the absence of widely accepted indicators hampers the impact assessment of prevention strategies. So what we have done is we've formed a working group of 20 experts and varied expertise from around the world to establish a framework capturing this complexity to develop indicators that are simple, easy to measure, and aim to quantify the risk of zoonotic disease emergence. And overall, our goal is operationalizing the One Health approach through evidence-based development of sustainable prevention strategies, which is ideally aimed at reducing spillover potential and ultimately preventing pandemics as much as we possibly can. Next slide, please. So the group is absolutely fantastic. They're from all over the world. We have good gender breakdown, and we have a variety of different technical expertise, but also different expertise looking at specific diseases as well. And those are listed on the right hand of the slide. Next slide.
I think Maria has lost her connection.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. So what we are aiming to do is look at building a framework, looking at the different stages of emergence, if you will, looking at pre-emergence right now, and looking at the spillover potential, taking into consideration pathogens that are part of the WHO R&D blueprint priority list, but also and these are pathogens that have been identified because they don't have medical countermeasures, but also the number of other pathogens that WHO works on that are are primarily focused on programs, husbandry, animal trade, surveillance networks, etc., and trying to have baseline and targets for risk reduction by geographic location and pathogen family. And our aim is to guide prevention strategies and measure the impacts of these interventions. Next slide, please. So we have a proposed methodology that we're working for. First step, reviewing all the existing data and tools that are available. Second step is developing the score. And third, testing, validating, improving the score. Next slide, please. And ultimately, at the end of the year, we hope to have 2 deliverables. The first is a draft of the methodology, identification of knowledge data gaps, and outline critical research avenues data that are needed to improve sustainability, substantially the first set of indicators. And deliverable 2, to draft a set of preliminary indicators that can be measured quickly and used by national and international health authorities when the implementation of these prevention strategies are discussed. So I'll leave it with that. And Benjamin, it's a privilege to work with you. It's a privilege to be part of PREZODE. And we look forward to continued constructive collaborations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Benjamin. I now want to introduce Frank Baert, who is the Senior Livestock Specialist in the Agriculture Global Practice at the World Bank and coordinator for the Livestock Global Alliance. And Frank, after Geneva with Maria, is speaking to us from Washington. Please, Frank, welcome to address the Pandemic Fund.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the introduction. I've been. This has been a very mobile landscape, and I'm no more senior livestock specialist in the agriculture global practice at the bank, but I'm now with a different title, leading One Health in the pandemic fund that is hosted by the bank. But thanks a lot nonetheless. I think I will start this presentation and then I will pass it on to Marisa so that she will finish the presentation. So next slide. So just a bit of background on this pandemic fund, really on the heels of COVID-19 pandemic that exposed the weaknesses of the PPR capacity around the world, and that this is of course having a serious toll on human lives, but also on economies, and the need to strengthen PPR capacity in low and middle income countries, for which WHO and the World Bank estimate an additional $30 billion US needed every year, and probably 2/3 of this would come from domestic financing and 1/3 from external financing. So from the point of view of the bank, this leaves a 10 billion gap on a yearly basis for the next few years. So the pandemic fund has been established as part of the solution, just a part, not the silver bullet. And the aim of this financing mechanism is really to provide additional sustained stream for pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response to low and middle income countries. So it's a complement. So at the bottom of the slide, you can see the timeline against which we've established that fund. That is a bit of a track record since June last year. We've got the approval by the board of the World Bank to establish this mechanism. Then in September we established the governing board of the financing mechanism. We launched officially at a side event of the G20 summit in Indonesia. We've pledged something like 1.7 billion US dollars so far from 26 donors, and right now we've just closed the first call for proposals, but we are in the first cycle of funding from this pandemic fund. Next slide. So why do we believe that this fund brings value added? It's one, because it's the only one that is dedicated stream of additional long-term funding for critical pandemic PPR in low middle income countries. And sometimes I will mention IDA and IBRD countries. They are the two categories of countries for the World Bank. The aim is really to support and strengthen capacity and implement along the IHR 2005, the International Health Regulations, and other internationally endorsed legal frameworks, and of course with PREZODE in the circle of friends of One Health. There we would put the international standards of the World Organization for Animal Health, WOA. So really, it's about mobilizing funding in and new sources of funding. It's also to complement domestic investment and financing. It's to promote coordination and having these grants serving as an integrator, and also to be a platform of advocacy as we of course see the concern around COVID-19 fading away. We know very well this cycle of panic and neglect, and the window of panic closing. We're entering into a phase of neglect. So two design characteristics of this fund that are the flexibility around and through existing institutions, the multilateral development banks, WHO, of course, and other UN agencies. And we hope to gather more partners as we go forward, and with them really fill the financing gaps and plug those needs. And the other property of this fund is really to catalyze, to incentivize, and really make sure that this fund leverage more funding. Next slide. So the scope and areas of focus are 5 big buckets around surveillance, care, community engagement, emergency communications, coordination and management, and finally countermeasures. And within those big buckets, we have a lot of elements that we articulate at country level, but also at regional and global level. But the regional level, as we've seen in many instances, is extremely important and sometimes overlooked. So we pay a lot of attention to that. Next slide. Thank you. And a few words on this first call for proposals. This was launched early this year, and as I indicated, we closed the window for applications to be submitted last week. We're in the middle of screening the applications that were received for eligibility. And once we have this package of eligible proposals, we will pass them to an independent technical advisory panel for technical evaluation. Those proposals deemed technically sound will then be moved to the governing board of the pandemic fund, and the governing board will have the task of allocating resources to those proposals. It may be that the existing envelope that is around 300 million for this first call for proposals is not enough to cover all the good proposals, but that will be the responsibility of the board, the governing board. The three main priority areas for this first call for proposals are the surveillance, the laboratory systems, and workforce and human resources. So you see that there's a lot of space for One Health in those priority areas, and we really hope that in the applications that we receive, we will see country proposals and multi-country proposals or regional proposals really moving the needle on One Health and bringing the different sectors so that surveillance and capacity at the early stages of prevent, detect are really led through the One Health approach. Next slide. And I think that this is the time where the one where I pass it on back to Marisa. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Frank. Yes, so the idea here was to show how we can, as a PREZODE community and PREZODE Secretariat, can support the member countries and technical institutes to apply and put a proposal for the pandemic fund. Why? Because we believe that the essential criteria that the pandemic fund is pushing forward in its objectives are really in line with the values of PREZODE, including co-development of solutions with the local and national stakeholders, having an evidence-based proposal that will push towards impact, a demonstration of impact, and also having a country politically and financially engaged in the proposal. So how can PREZODE support this? Through its co-design process. So we could support the member countries and the institution in setting up and facilitating this co-design process in the countries to be able to put up the proposal, and also by using what we've already produced and done through this international and national level consultation to develop the PREZODE strategic scientific agenda and operational agenda. And that is my second point. So the scientific framework of PREZODE can be used to provide this evidence-based priority that needs to be put in the proposal, key elements that needs to be funded to prevent the next pandemic. The PREZODE impact pathway can also help the countries to set up the proposal impact pathway to demonstrate the impact of the activities that would be pushed forward. And all of this could be used as a basis for activity planning. And last but not least, the PREZODE funded project could be valorized because at the moment they are funded through a development agency through co-funding as a co-funding in the proposals. And that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marisa. I will now give the floor to Hung Nguyen, who will address some question and moderate some question and answers.
Okay, thank you, Catherine, and thanks all the speakers. Good morning, Frank. It's very good to see you here. Okay, so now the floor is open for any questions of members of this meeting on the talk on PRIAC, but also the relationship between PREZODE and WHO and on the pandemic fund. Please feel free to ask the question with the microphone or put on the chat. Okay,
yes,
so
Manuel.
I see Manuel, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Manuel from VSF International Network. I would have a question for Frank. Thank you very much for the very clear presentation on the pandemic fund. As you mentioned that you just closed the first call for proposal, I can imagine there will be some following. Just a question on the chronogram and if World Bank is yet as yet defined when would be the next deadline. And the second question would be maybe more for Marisa and the connection between PREZODE and the fund. So I suppose that for now we consider that only the country who are yet members of the initiatives could benefit from this support you've been mentioning on the last slide. Thank you. Over.
Okay, I don't know who between Frank and Marisa can address this, please.
Maybe I can start so there is no clear timing for the second call for proposals. This fund has been operating at fast speed, so we should expect something towards the end of the year, but this will be a decision of the governing board probably over summer. And so best thing is probably to stay tuned and see what comes up, both in terms of timing, but also priority areas for the second call for proposals, because there may be different priorities. I think it's important also to mention that this first call is a bit of a learning exercise for everybody, and we want to take stock of this sort of pilot to see what works, what doesn't work, and where to improve. We realize that trying to defragment the financing landscape is a heavy duty, and so we need to share the burden, and probably through this first call for proposals we're going to learn a lot. So there will be adjustments, and so and finally, before I pass to Marisa on PREZODE exactly, but for the pandemic fund, all low middle income countries are eligible. So there's no restriction on that side of things. And the list is the one of what we call the IDA IBRD countries, with very few exceptions. And what is very important as we ask countries to build their proposals is to bring co-financing, co-investment, and this is where clearly other streams of financing are welcome to contribute to this leverage effect I was referring to.
Okay, great. Thanks, Frank. I think that, Manian, I hope that you are happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Marisa, maybe short reaction from you.
Just to say that we are very happy to support any countries and any members of PREZODE that are interested to put up a proposal, whether the country is a signatory or not. That might not have been clear in my presentation, but yes, all the members we will support. Institutional as.
Excellent. Ask the question, please, on the three presentation. Okay, so you can think more about that. Maybe I have a question here to Benjamin. Maria is not here, but this working group between WHO and PREZODE on these indicators and so on. So can you tell us, for example, how the outcome of this working group are going to be incorporated as indicators used for PREZODE strategic agenda implementation? Because that is also the areas that it can be complementary and used from one to another. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Song. So indeed, so the starting point of this working group was identified during the co-design process of PREZODE that we are missing quantitative indicator for the risk of zoonotic disease emergence, and this could hamper the development of prevention strategies, because it means that we lack a quantitative way to quantify the efficacy of prevention strategies. So the idea indeed is to make these kind of indicators more institutional, if I can say, meaning being used by large institutions, of course, by the PREZODE programs we have presented with Marisa, but also with others for the WHO program, maybe with the pandemic fund, if at some point it can match those expectations of the pandemic fund. But yeah, so the point is to have a set of indicators by the next year that could help to understand how the risk can be reduced for zoonotic disease emergence based on prevention strategies. We know that we are not gonna to have a fully perfect set of indicators by next year, but the point is to have a first draft of framework that could be used as a quantitative indicators, but also to identify what is missing in terms of data, in terms of methodology, maybe, to develop better indicators. So we really see that as an incremental process, and we are just at the beginning of the journey. Hope I answer your question, Hong.
Yeah, it is very good. Thank you very much, Benjamin. So I see Sabine hand here, and maybe that will be the last question of this Q&A. Sabine, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm from Costa Rica, and I have a question to Frank Berthy also. We were also interested in this pandemic fund, but finally we could never understand. You say there is 1/3 of external financing. Does that mean that the country has to pay back the money, or is this something that will be given to the country and the country has to invest 2/3 of its own?
No, thanks, Sabine, and sorry if I wasn't too clear when I mentioned 1/3, 2/3. It's at the global level when we try to look at the global gaps and how to fill those gaps, and this is where we estimate based on the usual flows of finance and financing. That's where we estimate that we remain with 1/3 to be fixed, so to speak, through international aid, or external aid. So that's how this 1/3, 2/3 comes in. It's global. It's a global picture. Forget about that. It tells us that we need $10 billion per year. When it comes to countries, we don't have strict figures. And we try to make sure that there is a good level of co-financing and co-investment, because it tells about the sustainability of the investments, the commitments by the country. And sometimes the commitment is not just about money; it's also about policies, and so we like to see this mix. But there's no fixed ratios in the mechanism that the pandemic fund has established.
But basically, will the country have to pay back the money? Because this is the question also, how we apply, you know?
No, it's we're talking about grants. So it's grants to the countries, and those grants they are coming to the beneficiary countries through what we call implementing entities, and those implementing entities are either multilateral development banks or UN agencies. So it can be WHO, FAO, it could be the Inter-American Development Bank. And they are the ones handling the projects and supervising the implementation of the projects. But the money that the pandemic fund is providing is just grants.
Yeah, so it is very clear. So grant is so the country don't have to pay back. That is good news, Frank. And thank you, Sabine. Okay. So I'm sorry, I think that you might have more questions, but time is up. And with that, I would like to thank you, every speakers and people who asked questions and the discussion for this session. And I think that now we can hand over to our new Secretary Zinoga. Congratulations on the new position, and as the floor is yours. You are muted, see. We don't hear you. I'm not hearing you. The mic is okay now, but it seems that
we can hear you, Zim.
okay. We see the screen sharing now, but we don't still. I don't hear you yet.
Sorry, I think Ziv has a connection problem. So I would suggest
Can you hear me
sorry.
now?
Yes, good.
Now it's okay. We can hear you
Sorry.
now. Please go ahead.
The
Yeah,
battery
okay
of
now.
my headphones finished, so I needed to connect it. First time happened to me. Very strange. Apologize for this. So thank you very much, Ung, and thank you for the nice wishes. I'm again very happy to join to this initiative, global initiative, and lead to the Secretariat. So I will give you a short presentation about where we are with the Secretariat, with the structure of the organization. As you all know, it's a new initiative. It grew up very, very fast from the when it was launched a year and a half ago, and getting together right now, 22 countries already signed in as government to join this initiative, and more than 200 organization, association, research centers, NGOs, representative of industries, etc. And this is very, very impressive. And now it's my role is to structure the Secretariat, structure the organization to make sure that all the different parts of this initiative working together in order to fulfill the vision and the mission of this organization. Next slide, please. So as you know, as members, you voted for the approval of the proposal to on the governments and to set up 4 bodies. So the General Assembly is the body of all members. It's the highest body of the organization taking the decision and the orientation of the organization. In between meetings, there will be a board. The name is Steering Committee. I will explain about the composition in the next slide. And the idea is to prepare proposal for the GA for adoption and to make sure to implement the General Assembly decision and other decisions that will be taken during the year. The donor committee is to assure resources into support of the initiative, and all these bodies are supported by the Secretariat that coordinate and implement all the initiative decisions. Please, next slide. So this is an overview about how the PREZODE will be structured. Once again, the GA above all, then you have the steering committee. Under the steering committee, the 5 pillars that was they were mentioning before, and there will be also 2 ad hoc committees to give support to the General Assembly and the steering committee based case by case. The one of them on ethics and the other one on scientific advice. Then the Secretariat is under all the committees and the working groups, the different working groups, to make sure that all this big machine functioning well and implementing all the decision. Next slide, please. One of the next steps will be to appoint or elect the chair and the vice chair of the General Assembly. And this is to the members, the country members of PREZODE to nominate. The idea is to have high level, then will be the face of the organization at high level platform around the world. And we soon will start the process of election, and we organize a meeting with all our countries members to be able to solicit nomination of high-level candidates. Next slide, please. And when it comes to the Secretariat, this is just for the moment a draft structure. We are still working on it. It's work in progress. The idea is to be as the most efficient and be able to really assist and work and coordinate on all the different aspects of this global and really big initiative. So it will be including the Secretary General and the different officers that will have each one of them task and working group and committees to take care of and to coordinate between themselves. And also, as you see, there is a Secretariat Executive Committee. This is composed by the organization that contributing to the Secretariat financially and in kind, and allowed the Secretariat to be functioning. And right now it's composed by the 3 research centers from France, IRD, CIRAD, and INRE. But the idea is, of course, is in the future to grow, to have more contribution from our members, and every organization that will contribute will also be part of the Executive Committee. Last but not least, not all these positions that are on your screen are filled right now, only some of them. Some of them are still vacant. In the next weeks, we will work and we will see what are the needs and what are the gaps, and we will come to you, our members, and we will ask you to see where you can contribute to the work of the Secretariat. So this will come in the next weeks. If you have any question regarding the slide I presented to you, now it's the moment before I go to the next part of my presentation. So probably it was very, very clear. I will go to the next part of my presentation. Please.
It was perfect.
Sorry?
It was perfect.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. Okay. So next slide, please. Steering committee. As you all know, we invited all members to first of all to nominate candidates for the steering committee, and in the last 2 weeks we also invited them to vote on the candidates. So I give you a little bit of a background. What are the functioning of the steering committee? As I said before, it's a board functioning in between meetings of the General Assembly and make sure that all the decisions of the GA are implemented, and on the same time elaborate and submit a strategic orientation proposal for the GA. And then, of course, is the body that making decision on several action and responsible for the Secretariat and the other parts of the initiative. Next slide, please. The steering committee is composed by 5 colleges. The scientific colleges composed by 5 scientific experts. We have the region college, 5 delegates representing a different region in the world, and they are nominated only by the member countries of the organization. Then we have the civil society college, 3 representatives from NGOs, and 2 others is the donor committee and the One Health International Organization college. Next slide, please. So regarding the procedure, the call for candidate was launched in the beginning of the year and was closed on 6th of April. We received 22 nominations, and the online election system was open between 11 to the 25th, which was yesterday, and we received the election results quite late in the evening. And unfortunately, because of it, we decided that we'll not announce it today, because we want first to notify all the candidates, the successful one and the non-successful one, about the election results. And once they will be notified, we will publish the results of the election, and this will be done next week. You can, next slide, please. Next week, I'm happy to tell you that we have a quorum. We have elected a steering committee, and I'm looking very much forward to announce it to you next week and already to start working with them. So next slide, please. So what are the next steps? First is the nomination of representative to the 2 colleges that need to join to the steering committee. It's the donor committee and the One Health organization. The second one is to have a first introduction meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to do it next month or in July. We would like to have already a first working meeting in August or September to be able already to prepare proposal for the GA in October, and during this meeting to select the chair of the steering committee. Last slide, I believe. No. So any question regarding the steering committee, the election procedure, or anything related to this, I will be happy to reply to you. Okay, probably once again, it was perfect. So if no more question, I will share now the next session related to the Secretariat and the working group within the Secretariat. And I will give the floor to my colleague, Marisa, to give you a short overview about the labeling working group. Marisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Steve. So I will just go through this group briefly because we already had a presentation during the General Assembly. So it's about the principle for the development of an endorsement process within PREZODE for project, programs, and initiative. Next slide, please. So we're a group of 23 members representing 12 institutions and 5 international organizations or initiatives, and 11 countries were represented. Next slide, please. What we did in 2022, we framed the concept of this endorsement process, defining all the terminology, and we drafted the first document through different set of meetings that was reviewed and then included in the presented at the first General Assembly. And then included in the strategic, scientific, and operational agenda of PREZODE and validated in 2023 by all its members, you. Now, today we are presenting this action and what we will do next. So next, we will follow up, continue this group. We could open the call for interest to join the group as well for members that would be interested. And our aim is to be able to finalize the full endorsement process, probably having another 2 meetings before December. So we could get this process validated by the steering committee that will be fully operational, hopefully by December. And then we can start the endorsement of the first project early next year. Next slide, please. So what do we mean by the endorsement scheme? So all of this is in the strategic agenda for reference. So the idea is to have a formal application process with inclusion or eligibility criteria to endorse project, program, or initiative that will follow the PREZODE value, that will promote the PREZODE paradigm changes, and also that is for fostering synergy between existing and upcoming activities. That will help to reach our goal in PREZODE, which is about ensuring coordination of the action. And it's very open to any programs and projects, even outside PREZODE direct funding. Next slide, please. So we have also come up with some definitions of what we mean by activity, project, program, and initiative. I will not get into details. You can refer in the scientific agenda, or all of this is described. Next slide, please. So how are we going to go through this labeling program? So the project, program, and initiatives which are interested to join will have to meet all the criteria that I will describe in a minute. They will have also to respect fundamental safeguarding principles linked to human rights, animal ethics, livelihood, and the environment. And of course, have no intention to alter or have a negative impact on biosecurity. Next slide, please. The criteria that we have come up with the group of experts and that you have all validated are in line with PREZODE values and agenda, which include contributing to the prevention of zoonotic disease emergence, consider all the aspects related to gender equality, diversity, ethics, and open science, aim to contribute to at least one sustainable development goal, aim to launch action in the field of research, education, development projects that will improve better knowledge sharing on emerging risks, zoonotic disease spread and surveillance and mitigation actions, so in line with the PREZODE pillars, promote One Health as an integrated unifying approach, encourage sharing relevant information through a common platform to improve knowledge and future empowerment of both local and international level. Encourage evidence-based policy development using a bottom-up approach whenever possible and relevant. And of course, take inclusive approach whenever possible to ensure the action will be relevant and accepted. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits? What would be the benefit for the project, programs, or initiative to be endorsed by PREZODE? There is 5 type of benefits. The values, so you would be recognized in embracing the principle and values of PREZODE, and the idea of working in synergy between different activity, promoting the PREZODE paradigm shift. You will be joining a community of practice and benefiting from its knowledge and experience. It will ensure higher visibility through PREZODE communication means and community, and also get access to high-level discussion and political institution. And also it's to maximize impact by ensuring that the activities are complementary and not redundant. So if you're interested in joining the PREZODE label working group, or if you're interested in knowing more about this endorsement scheme, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marisa. Then any question regarding this working group on labeling to Marisa? If no question, I go to my next in line. So my colleague Paula will speak to you on the data working group that she is responsible to. Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sif, for this opportunity to present to you today. This is a short presentation to invite you to participate in the constitution of PREZODE International Data Working Group. Next, please. First of all, some background elements which are always good to keep in mind. Since PREZODE launched, 28 co-construction, regional and international workshops took place. The feedback helped to define the PREZODE strategic agenda, and 5 pillars were identified. One of them identified the need to prototype a global information system for surveillance and early detection on zoonotic emerging diseases. The other pillars and the action around them will also contribute to generate a lot of data. Next, please. The information collected during this workshop results in a database of 1,556 research gaps and operational needs. Among them, I would like to highlight 2 related with data and one related with platform. Next, please. There are some information, I don't know why, or next, I don't know why this appear, okay? Well, anyway. There are some, I will explain you, there are some information gaps that can be addressed through the construction of a platform. And in yellow, that is, as you can see here, surveillance and surveillance system is one of the main concerns from the people that attend this workshop, followed by risk evaluation, risk communication, risk mitigation, that is, you can see here. Next, please. Also, almost 200 different types of platforms were also proposed to solve the gaps. If we group them, a portal that allows interoperability with other platforms it was the most request. Also, the possibility to have an observatory that we can see and we can link and we can work with the many platforms that was requested. The next, please. As was mentioned this morning by Dr. Ango, in this context, show us that we need to work at international level in a coordinated way to propose a global platform from research without duplicating what already exists. Next, please. Therefore, our objective is, next, please, to establish a concept for an international platform for PREZODE, which will be validated at international level by you as the PREZODE General Assembly. Next, please. The next steps are organize an open call for international data experts to participate in a voluntary basis in the PREZODE International Data Working Group. Next. To do this, we already have a multidisciplinary team that will support the organization, coordination, and animation of PREZODE International Data Working Group, as you can see in the picture. And we hope that by the next General Assembly, the International Data Working Group will be in place and that we will be able to present our strategy moving forward. Next, please. Thank you very much for your attention. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Thank you very much, Paula, for the presentation. And any question to Paula on the information just presented? Okay, if no question, I'm going to the next presentation on communication. I give the floor to you, Catherine. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone. So my name is Catherine Bernis. I'm the current communication delegate for PREZODE. And let me quickly recall why and how communication is not only significant, but crucial to have any project, program, and therefore initiative. Next, please. So to do so, I'm taking you for a very short journey with animals since you have focused so much on all the information we fed you with. So need communication, we need that for promoting, informing, and publicizing. Next, please. Bringing together. Next, please. Catch attention. Next, please. Targeting appropriate audiences. Next, please. And address tailored messages. Next, please. Thank you. So back on the ground, the overall vision of the communication is to fit with the PREZODE's ambition. So we must assert the initiative's singularity towards other zoonotic surveillance and prevention programs. We must address the specificity of the bottom-up co-construction approach and the full inclusion in the realization of the One Health approach. Next, please. So I'm going to be quick on those three main and interlinked objectives, which is bringing together science, community, and share knowledge, advocate all relevant stakeholders, and highlight the effectiveness of the multidisciplinary international approach of the initiative. Next, please. So since PREZODE has been launched, the first year, 2021, was to create basic needs for communication. In 2022, we have designed a long-term strategy to animate the implementation of PREZODE and its communication to increase the links between the members. In 2023, the key word is implement. Implement developing communication tools and strengthen advocacy towards public policies. For instance, on the beginning of the week, we had the chance to have a broadcast on RFE with 4 of members. So we'll be very happy to share that broadcast with you. And we are also here to support field deployment, labeling, and field work. And in 2024, the key word is to demonstrate the link between science and society, and to bring up the first result of action, like AFRICAM, labeling, and data group. In 2025, the key word is to confirm PREZODE as a key science reference and stepping up action and demonstrate done results. Next, please. So there are a few actions that I'm going to quickly review with you that we have done since the beginning. Next, please. So among the information that you are probably aware of, the website, the LinkedIn page, the newsletter, the Twitter feed, and the YouTube channel, I would more than advise and encourage you to adhere and join the LinkedIn page and the Twitter feed, so as we need to bring together a wider community of followers. Next, please. We also design a few communication support that are crucial to our needs. So the graphic chart, and we will inform you later on how to use it, a brochure, some videos, and of course we have poster and kakemonos that we can share with you as you need. Next, please. So as for the next step, there's going to be a working group on communication launch, and we are going also to discuss on upcoming tools. We are going to draft a members guide, which will bring all necessary guidance to processes and talking elements for each member. We are going to finalize a press kit, and we are going to deliver a design strategic agenda to help endorsing and bringing it in a more user-friendly way. Next, please. So this working group is essential to foster a collaborative and effective communication in the same spirit that PREZODE has been built since its beginning, like co-designing regarding regional specificities, bringing communication tools, share and boost communication, and co-design tools. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Catherine, very much for the very clear presentation. Any question to Catherine? If no question, we are going to the last but not least presentation of the meeting. So I give the floor once again to Marisa to speak about the Impact Working Group. Marisa, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. So I will be quite fast on this one. So this is a new working group that we are setting up. We've been talking about it for a long time. Next slide, please. So the idea is to set up this group to be able to monitor our impact and check that PREZODE is reaching its objective. And to be able to do that, we need to define indicators based on the PREZODE impact pathway. So there is some expert work to do. We also need to build up a PREZODE impact evaluation process that we could run over the years. And we also need to review regularly the PREZODE impact pathway, as it is an evolving thing with time. So it would be great to have a group representative of the different countries, regions, and discipline to be able to do this work. The other important aspect of this group would be to work on the evaluation of the added value of prevention. And we've been discussing that with FAO for a long time, because we are involved in the work with them on the return on investment and development of a framework to measure the return on investment of One Health initiative. And the idea is to build up this expert group as a specific subgroup of this FAO and quadripartite community of practice. So we would work specifically on the return on investment of prevention as a One Health initiative. and this group will be co-coordinated by PREZODE. So what we will do is we will work on showcasing the return on investment of prevention for countries and donors that will help to influence the funding of prevention and recognize the need to fund prevention, and that will also help to influence the integration of prevention in the pandemic agreement, which is under negotiation at the moment. And that was mentioned at the World Health Assembly this week, where PREZODE was also highly mentioned. Thank you so much. So I will invite you all. No, sorry. At the moment, we are still working out with FAO the modalities for opening up the group, and there will be a call for application to join, and we will keep you informed. But if you want any information, if you're interested, please do not hesitate to contact us to get this information. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Marisa. Any question to Marisa regarding this working group on impact? If no question, I will actually give the floor now back to Jean-Luc to close the meeting of today. Jean-Luc, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Zif, and I want to thank all the participants. It was a very useful meeting, and we can see that thanks to that meeting, all the actions and projects are underway and that PREZODE has mobilized for its organization with new governance and the structuration of the Secretariat. I thank all the participants and the Secretariat for this midterm information meeting between two General Assembly. The next General Assembly will be held in October, and we will send you in June a save the date with the chosen date. And we can say that now PREZODE enters in a new dimension, more and more global, but always with local anchor and bottom-up construction. Thank you very much. Congratulations for your action and your support, and good luck to the Secretariat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Nice weekend to
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye-bye.
Nice
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye.